You've made it through the pre-purchase phase. You're financially ready, you're pre-approved, and you know exactly what you can afford. Now comes the exciting part, actually finding your home. But here's the thing. Most buyers, they approach the search phase completely wrong, and it costs them time, money, and sometimes their dream home. I'm David Karras, multi-award winning real estate broker, and in this video, I'm walking you through the entire search and selection phase. We're going to show you how to build your real estate team the right way and how to understand the difference between a real estate agent, a realtor, and a broker. We're going to master the home search process and we're going to evaluate neighborhoods like a professional investor. And by the end of this video, you will have a complete roadmap for finding and securing your perfect home without the costly mistakes that trip up most first-time home buyers. So let's dive in. Now, before we get going, if you're finding this series helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. We're building the most comprehensive home buying guide here on YouTube, and you don't want to miss a single step. Now, the first stop, assembling your real estate team. Now, before you start scrolling through Zillow at midnight, you need to build your team. The right professionals will save you thousands of dollars and countless headaches. Let's talk about who you need and how to choose them. Next, I'm going to help you gain an understanding of the type of real estate professionals there are. There are real estate agents, there are realtors, and there are brokers. Now let's clear up some confusion because most people, they use these terms interchangeably, but there are actually big differences between the three of them. A real estate agent is someone that has passed their state's license exam for real estate, and they hold an active real estate license. They can help you buy or sell property, and they can earn a commission on a transaction. Now think of this as the baseline qualification. They've completed the required education, passed the test, and can legally represent clients in real estate transactions. Now, let's talk about a realtor. Here's where it gets a little bit specific. A realtor is a real estate agent who is a member of the National Association of Realtors, or NAR. Now, what's the difference? Realtors agree to follow the NAR Code of Ethics, which goes beyond state licensing requirements. They have access to additional education resources, and they're held to a higher professional standard. Now, the NAR, or National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics, include things like putting clients' interests first, being honest in all communications, treating all parties fairly, protecting confidential information. I know some of this stuff sounds pretty obvious, but it is some added things. Now, another thing is providing accurate information about properties. Now, that's all anybody should do anyway. But not every real estate agent is a realtor, but every realtor is a real estate agent. Now, you see, realtors use the registered trademark after their name, and they display the realtor logo. Now, a real estate broker, a broker has additional education and licensing beyond regular agents. They can work independently, such as opening up their own brokerage like I have, and they supervise agents. There are two types of brokers. There's an associate broker. They have their license, their broker's license, but choose to work under another broker. Then you have managing brokers like me who own or manage a brokerage and supervise agents. As a home buyer, you might work directly with a broker, but you'll more commonly work with an agent who works under a broker's supervision. So, who should you choose? For most buyers, working with a realtor gives you that extra layer of ethical commitment and professionalism. However, it does not guarantee competency. The most important factors are the individual's experience, local market knowledge, communication style, and track record, not just their title. Working with a broker helps you know that they have met higher standards in transactions and a higher level of education. And most brokers are also members of NAR. But don't be afraid to ask, are you licensed agent or broker? Are you a member of NAR? How long have you been practicing real estate in this market? How many buyers have you represented in the past year? Finding and choosing a real estate agent is important. Your agent will be your guide, your negotiator, and your advocate through this entire process. Choosing the right one, that's pretty critical. So, where do you find agents? Well, there's a couple different options. Option number one, personal referrals. Ask friends, family, coworkers who recently bought a house. Personal experience is gold. Ask specific questions like, hey, were they responsive? Did they fight for you in negotiations? Would you use them again? Option number two, local market experts. One way to find that, drive through the neighborhoods that you're interested in. Whose signs do you repeatedly see? Agents who dominate in a specific area usually know it inside and out. Option number three, online research. Check sites like Zillow, Realtor.com, Google, or Redfin. Look at agent profiles, reviews, and recent sales. But don't stop there. You got to dig a little deeper. Option number four, you can attend an open house. Open houses in your targeted area are good. This gives you a chance to meet agents in action and see their communication style firsthand. Now, here are some red flags to avoid. Avoid part-time agents. Real estate agents should be full-time. You need someone who's going to be available for you when you need them and is fully invested in their business. Stay away from new agents, right? Without supervised brands, the new agents can work in their part of a strong team with experienced mentors. But a brand new solo agent, that's risky for your biggest purchase. Maybe you want to stay away from pushy or dismissive behavior. If they're pressuring you to make an offer on homes you're not excited about or dismissing your concerns, walk away. If they have poor communication, right? If they're hard to reach during the interview process, imagine how hard they're going to be when you're under contract with deadlines looming. Now, too many clients ask how many active buyers they're currently representing. If the number is over 8 to 10, they may not have the time to give you the proper attention. You need to ask potential agents the following questions. 1, how many years have you been selling real estate full time? 2, how many buyer transactions did you close in the past 12 months? 3, what's your average list price to sales price ratio? This shows your negotiation skills that they have. Number 4, how many homes have you sold in my target neighborhood? Number 5, what's your communication style and your availability? Not every real estate agent works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Number 6, can you provide references from recent buyers? Number 7, how do you typically structure your buyer representation agreement? Number 8, what sets you apart from other agents? Number 9, how will you help me determine fair market value? And number 10, what's your strategy for competing in multiple offer situations? Now, when you interview, you got to at least interview 3 agents. Don't hire the first agent you meet, unless it's me, of course, but interview at least 3 and compare their answers. And trust your gut about who you want in your corner during negotiations. Understanding buyer representation agreements is important as well. Your agent will likely ask you to sign a buyer representation agreement. This is a contract that it specifies how long you'll work together exclusively, typically 3 to 6 months. It details the agent's commission, usually paid by the seller, but understand the terms. Outlines what services the agent will provide. It defines your obligation as a client. If the seller doesn't pay, you're going to have to pay that commission. Read this carefully before signing. Make sure you understand the terms, especially the length of the agreement, how you can terminate it if things aren't working for you, what happens if you want to buy a home that you found on your own, okay? Those are all important things. The bottom line is this: your agent should feel like a trusted advisor who listens to your needs, educates you on the process, fights for your interests, and makes this complex process feel manageable. If you don't feel that way, you need to keep looking. Now let's talk about finding and choosing your lender. You got to get your pre-approval in the pre-purchase phase, right? But Now that you're seriously house hunting, it's time to finalize your lender choice and make sure you're getting the best deal and get that really good pre-approval. The rate shopping window, well, here's something critical that many buyers don't know. When you're shopping for mortgage rates, multiple credit inquiries within a 30-day window typically count as just one inquiry on your credit report score. This is called rate shopping. And the credit bureau recognizes that consumers need to compare offers. So don't be afraid to get quotes from multiple lenders within that 30-day period. It won't tank your credit score. Now, here's some important things to note. This only applies to mortgage inquiries. If you're also applying for a car loan or credit card during this time, those will count as separate inquiries. So let's talk about what to shop and compare. Don't just look at interest rates. You need to compare the total picture. What does that look like? Well, you have your interest rate. This is where the rate that you'll pay interest on annually on your loan balance. Even a 0.25% difference can mean thousands over 30 years. APR, your annual percentage rate. This includes the interest rate plus the fees, giving you the true cost of the loan. A lender might advise or advertise a low rate, but charge a higher fee, making their APR higher. Let's talk about closing costs. You need to get a detailed list of all the fees. Origination fee, processing fee, underwriting fee, the application fee, points. If you're buying down the rate, 1% equals 1 point. So the point and percent are universal. Talk to them about lender credits. Some lenders offer credits to cover closing costs in exchange for a slightly higher rate. This can be helpful if you're low on cash but plan to refinance later. Rate lock options. How long will they lock in your rate? What does it cost? And can you float down if the rate drops? Okay. Customer service and timeline. How quickly do they respond? What's their average time to close? Is it 30 days? Is it 45 days? Is it 20 days? Does it vary based off of loan type? Do they service the loan or do they sell it? Now, how to get accurate quotes. Give each lender the same information. Exact loan amount, your credit score range, down payment percentage, property type and use, estimated home price. Okay. Then you want to ask for the loan estimate form. Lenders are required to provide this within 3 business days of your application. This standardized form makes it easy to compare apples to apples. Now, the 30-day rate shopping strategy. Week 1, get pre-approved with 2 to 3 lenders. Week 2, 2 to 3 active house hunts. Continue gathering quotes. Week 4, compare final offers and choose your lender. After week 4, lock in your rate when you find the home that you want. Now remember, you're in control. Don't let anyone pressure you into choosing a lender before you're ready or before you've compared options. Now, when it comes to new homes, they kind of force you to use their lender if you want any of their incentives. Now, here's some red flags. If they're unwilling to provide a written loan estimate, if they're trying to pressure you to lock a rate immediately, if they make promises that sound too good to be true, if they're poor communication or they miss callbacks, if they keep changing terms after you've committed, hidden fees that appear later. Okay. Can you switch lenders after the pre-approval? Yes, absolutely. I have clients do it all the time. Your pre-approval isn't a contract. If you find a better deal or better service, you can switch lenders anytime before you lock your rate and start underwriting. When you need an attorney, well, some states you have to have attorneys involved in part of your team. Now, whether you need a real estate attorney varies by state, but I did break down a list of those states. So attorneys required states. So in these states, an attorney must be involved in the transaction. In Alabama, Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Georgia, Massachusetts, New York, North Carolina, they need an attorney there as well. Rhode Island, South Carolina, West Virginia, they all need attorneys involved in the real estate process. Now, there are attorney customary states. In these states, attorneys aren't legally required, but are more commonly used. You have them in Maine, Maryland, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Vermont, and Virginia. Now, there are attorney optional states. In most other states, real estate agents and title companies handle everything, and attorneys are optional, like Texas. However, you might want one if the property is in a foreclosure or if it's in a short sale. You might want an attorney if you're buying commercial property. There are complex title issues involved with a property. An attorney may be useful. An attorney might be useful if it's a for sale by owner transaction or you're in a complicated financial situation. If the contract has unusual terms and contingencies, you may want an attorney to look at it. Now, what does a real estate attorney do? Well, they do a lot of different things. They review and explain the purchase agreement. They review title documents and handle title issues. They attend the closing and review closing documents. They ensure all legal requirements have been met. Now, they also work on protecting your interests if disputes arise. They also handle escrow in some states. So let's talk about cost. Real estate attorney fees typically range from $500 to $2,000, maybe even more, depending on the location and the complexity of the file. In states where they're required, this is a normal closing cost. So how do you find one? Ask your real estate agent for recommendations. Check your state bar association referral service. You might want to ask a friend who's recently bought a home who they used. Look for attorneys who specialize in residential real estate. Now here's the bottom line. You need to check your state's requirements. Even if an attorney isn't required, consider hiring one for complicated transactions or if you just want a little extra protection on the biggest purchase of your life. Now that we've got your dream team assembled, let's talk about the home search process. So we're going to talk about how to actually find your home. Now, this isn't just about scrolling through listings. There's an actual strategy to this, and your real estate agent is a key part of that. Now, first, you got to define your home criteria. Before you look at a single house, you need to have a crystal clear idea on what you're looking for. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting months looking at homes that don't fit your needs or your requirements. You got to have must-haves versus nice-to-haves and figure out the delineation between those. Sit down and make two lists. Must-haves. These are non-negotiables, deal breakers. If a house doesn't have these, it won't even consider it. Like if you have to have 4 bedrooms, don't look at 3 bedrooms, for example, right? Same for bathrooms. If you're single story versus multi-story, like if you have mobility issues, you don't want to be looking at 2-story. Does it have an attached garage? Is the backyard fenced in for pets or children? Hey, what is the maximum commute that you want to have from work or from school? Specific school districts, move-in condition. Hey, you have to be realistic. The more must-haves you have, the longer your search will take and the fewer options you have. I usually tell my clients, give me 3 to 4 must-haves and give me like 6 or 7 would-likes, and we try and figure out the best. Nice-to-haves, right? These are features you love but can live without or add later. For example, an updated kitchen, a finished-out basement, a pool, a home office, taking and ripping up the carpet and putting in flooring, large lots, walk-in closets. Keep this list handy so when you're touring homes and feeling overwhelmed, refer back to your lists, okay? And then that way you can check off the one that's got the most bang for your buck. Now we got to talk about location considerations. You got to look at your commute, right? Map out your daily commute for potential neighborhoods. Do this during rush hour, not on a Sunday afternoon. A 20-minute Sunday drive might be a 50-minute drive at Tuesday at 8 a.m. Let's talk about schools. Even if you don't have kids, school districts' quality affect property values and resale potential. Use something like greatschools.org to research ratings. Visit schools if you have children. What about amenities? What do you need to have nearby? How far are the grocery stores? How far are restaurants, parks and recreational activities, shopping, healthcare facilities? How far is public transportation? Is it available or do you have to drive to it, and what kind is it? What about, a walk or a drive in the neighborhood? Is there traffic noise? Is there an industrial area nearby? What is the vibe? All right, you got to look at future resale considerations. Even if you plan to stay forever, life happens. You need to consider these things. Is this home appealing to a broad range of buyers, or is it pretty niche? Are there features that might turn off buyers? Is the home over improved or under improved for the neighborhood? Is the floor plan functional for families, retirees, or both? The best homes are ones that have broad appeal. They're not the highly personalized homes or unusual features can make resale harder, especially if you have a pool. Now, using online tools and MLS listings. The internet has revolutionized home searching, but you need to know how to use these tools effectively. Understanding the MLS and how it works. The MLS, or Multiple Listing Service, is the database where real estate agents list properties. It's the most accurate, most up-to-date source for available homes. And this is where your real estate agent comes into play. Direct MLS access that your agent has can set up an automated search that emails you new listings that match your criteria, often before they hit public websites. Now, let's talk about public websites like Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, Homes.com. They pull from the MLS, but can be delayed by several hours. Zillow also includes for sale by owners and off-market properties. Now, how to search effectively? Start broad, then narrow. Right? Begin with general criteria: area, price range, bedrooms, like your must-haves. As you learn what you like and don't like, you can add filters. Use map views. This helps you understand exactly where properties are located relative to your work, school, and amenities. Make sure you save your searches. Most sites let you save searches and set up alerts. Do this for multiple search variations. Look at listing history. Check how long homes have been on the market. If it's been 60 plus days, there might be room to negotiate. Recent price drops, maybe even better. Now, you can see if they've taken it off the market and put it back on the market. You got to read between the lines. Okay? Listing agents use specific language, and here's what that often means. If they say it's cozy, it's a fancy word for small. Charming means outdated or old. Fixer-upper or handyman special, it means needs major work. Price to sell means it's overpriced for months and just got reduced. Motivated seller means they're open to negotiations. As is, well, you might want to be prepared to expect some problems. Bring your vision, it's in rough shape. Investor special, really rough shape. Great bones, everything else needs work. Study the photos. Okay, you got to look at them all. Look carefully at the listing photos. Are they professionally taken? Okay, or are they with cell phone photos? Is there a reflection of a flash coming back in the mirror? Usually this means if you have a serious seller, if they're professional. Are rooms empty or are they staged? Empty rooms, photograph smaller, so prepare for them to be larger. Do you see the same room from multiple angles but never others? It means they're hiding something. Any obvious repairs needed? You also want to look for how does the outside look. Now here are some red flags for listing. If they only have a few photos or they're poor quality, something's wrong with the house. If there's no photos of the kitchen or bathrooms, something's wrong with them. If they're listed as active, then coming soon, then active again, it means the buyer's backed out. Multiple price drops, they're a red flag as well. Same house listed repetitively over months, red flag. Disclosures about known issues. Look at virtual tours and 3D walkthroughs. Many listings now include 3D tours like Matterport. These are incredibly useful for narrowing down which homes to see in person. You can explore every room and get a sense of the flow and the space. Now, you might even want to go attend open houses. Here's how you do it effectively. Open houses are a great way to see multiple properties without scheduling individual showings, but you need to approach them strategically. Why would you want to attend an open house? Well, it gives you the opportunity to see multiple homes quickly. There's no pressure or appointment needed. You get a feel for the neighborhood on the weekends. Then you get to meet the listing agent and ask questions. Now, compare homes back to back. There's another great feature for that. And before you go to open houses, there are some things that you need to think about before you go. You need to do your homework. Look up the listings online first. Know the price, the square footage, and key features, and have questions ready. Bring a notebook or use your phone. You'll see multiple homes and they'll blur together, so take notes on each one of them. You want to note the address, the asking price. Write down some of the pros, write down some of the cons. Write down some questions that came up. Give it an overall score. 1 is absolutely atrocious. 10, I want it now. Maybe even take some photos. Most agents are fine with you taking photos for your own reference. Ask permission first, though. Don't post them on social media. Now, during the open house, you're likely going to have a sign-in sheet. The agent's going to ask you for your name and your contact info. Be honest. If you already have an agent, write their name down too and let the other agent know. This protects your agent's commission. Be observant. How does it smell when you walk in? Is there pet odors? Does it smell like mildew? Is there strong air freshener covering something? Now, what's the condition of the floors, the walls, the ceilings? Do doors and windows open easily, or are they sticking? Are rooms adequately sized for their purpose? Is there enough natural light? How's the layout and how's the flow? Talk to the listing agent. They're there to answer your questions. Ask them. Why is the seller moving? I may or may not tell you that. It depends on how personal it is. How long has it been listed? Definitely I'll tell you that. Has there been any offers? I will tell you that. What's included in the sale? I'll tell you that. Any known issues with the property? We'll tell you that. What's the seller's timeline? May not tell you that depending on the confidentiality. Is the seller flexible on price? I probably won't tell you that either. But be friendly, but remember, the listing agent represents the seller, not you. So don't reveal your maximum budget or how much you love the house. Check out everything though. Open closets. Look at the size. Will it work for you? Turn on faucets so you can check the water pressure. See how long it takes for the hot water to get to the back of the house. Flush toilets. Do they really work properly? Check outlets. Are there enough? Don't go out there and test them. That's what the inspection's for. But just check for the location and the quantity. Look at the water heater and the HVAC. Are they old or do they look new? Go in the basement if there is one. How's the moisture? Are there cracks? Does it smell? Walk the yard. Look for drainage issues, privacy concerns, and the condition of the fence. Now, after the open house, review your notes. While it's fresh in your mind, write down additional thoughts. Would you want to see it again with your agent? Is it definitely off the list? Things like that. Research the property. Look up tax records, recent sales in the neighborhood, and school ratings if you didn't already. Your agent should be able to help you with that. Now follow up with your agent. Tell them which homes you're interested in seeing again. They can schedule private showings and get you more information. Now, when it comes to scheduling private showings, once you've narrowed down your options, it's time for private showings with your agent. Now, here's some benefits of a private showing versus an open house. With private showings, you get more time to explore without the crowds. Your agent is there and can point out things that you might miss. You can ask sensitive questions without the seller overhearing them. You can take measurements and really picture yourself living there. And you can probably take measurements during the open house too, but typically you don't. You can bring family members for their input. Now, how do you schedule it? Your agent will coordinate with the listing agent or the seller. In your market, showings might need 24 hours notice, maybe sometimes more, depending on their availability. Some may be same day. Be flexible. Sellers have lives too. Being flexible with showing times can give you an advantage, especially if the seller wants a same day showing. Now, what do you want to bring? Obviously, you want to bring your agent, right? You want to bring a notebook and phone for photos and notes. You might want to bring a tape measure for checking if your furniture is going to fit, especially if you have something very unique and big. Bring a compass app on your phone, or bring a compass to check the room orientation for sunlight. Where's the sunrise? Where's the sunset? Bring a list of questions, your must-have checklist, and what to look for during private showings is another thing that we're going to talk about. So you want to look at overall conditions, age of minor systems, like your major systems like the roof, the HVAC, and the water heater, quality of recent updates. You want to look and see if there's any deferred maintenance. Best way of doing that, pulling out the air filter. Signs of water damage. Now you also want to look at the layout and the functionality. Does the floor plan make sense, or does it look like a jigsaw puzzle? Is there enough storage for you? Are the outlets conveniently located? Is there space for your furniture? You want to check out noise levels. Stand quiet and listen. Can you hear the AC outside running? Is there a train? Is there an airport? Are neighbors audible through the walls, right? Is there traffic noises? Nearby businesses? You also want to look at lighting, right? You want to visit during different times of the day if possible. Is there enough natural light? Or is there enough overhead light? Is there artificial lighting fixtures? And if so, are they adequate? You also want to get the feel of the neighborhood. You want to drive around at different times, especially weekends, mornings, and at night to kind of get an idea of when everybody's there and moving around, what that looks like. Weekends are definitely a must so you can see the neighborhood activity. Now, looking at neighboring property conditions is also important. Questions to ask during your showing, okay? First thing, when was the roof last replaced? It should be on the seller's disclosure, provided the listing agent put it there. How was the HVAC system? Same thing. When was the water heater installed? Same thing. Have there been any insurance claims? That should be there as well. But your insurance agent would be pulling a clue report as well. Any known issues with plumbing, electrical, or foundations? That should be on the disclosures as well. What's included in the sale? Are they including the washer, the dryer, the refrigerator, any fixtures? Are there any HOA restrictions? What are the average utility costs? Have any major renovations been done? Were the permits pulled? Why is the seller moving? You got to trust your gut. Okay, pay attention to your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. If you walk in and immediately feel at home, that matters too. Now, here's some red flags to watch during tours. Some issues are deal breakers. Others, well, they're negotiation points. And here's what I mean, and here's what you got to watch out for, okay? Structural red flags. If there's foundation issues, the best way to check that out is if there's cracks in the foundation walls, especially horizontal or staircasing or stair step cracks. Is there sloping or uneven floors? Do the doors and windows do they close properly, or do they ghost open or come down? Cracks in exterior brick and stone. Gaps where walls meet ceilings. Are there discolored squares of concrete in the driveway? Those are all indicators. Let's talk about roof problems. Missing or damaged shingles, sagging roof line, water stains on ceilings. Is there light visible through the attic? Water damage. Let's talk about stains. Are there stains on the ceiling? Are there stains on the wall? Is there a musty or mildewy smell? Are there soft spots in the floor? Look for peeling paint or wallpaper. Is there condensation on the windows? If you have a basement, is it feeling damp in there? Or do they have a dehumidifier? Let's talk about electrical issues. Outdated fuse box instead of circuit breakers. Aluminum wiring, that's a fire hazard. Knob and tube, right? That's crazy. Not enough outlets. Are the lights flickering? Are there burn marks around the outlets, right? Plumbing concerns. Is there low water pressure? Does the sink drain slowly? Does the tub drain slowly? Is the water rust-colored water like it is in Lavernia, right? Visible pipe corrosion. DIY repairs that look questionable. Environmental and safety red flags also include mold, visible mold growth, black, green, or white patches, or microbial growth is what they technically call it. Musty odors, are they present? Is there excessive humidity? Is there previous water damage? Is there pest issues? You see some evidence of termites. Are there termite tubes on the foundation? Is there wood damage? Are there droppings from rats or other animals? Dead bugs around the windows? Depending on how old it is, it may have asbestos around the pipes and lead-based paint. Homes built before 1980 likely have lead paint in them. Homes built before 1980 may have asbestos insulation. They may even have asbestos shingles on the outside. Not necessarily a deal breaker, but needs professional assessment. Let's talk about cosmetic and serious issues. Cosmetic is usually not a deal breaker. Okay? Some cosmetic things are like dated decor, ugly paint colors, old carpeting on flooring, outdated light fixtures, overgrown landscaping, minor wall damage. Now let's talk about some serious potential deal-breaking issues. Major foundation issues, structural damage, severe water damage. If you go in and you see mold everywhere, that's a significant thing. Electrical hazards, roof system failures, HVAC system failures, lifestyle red flags, things to look at with regards to your lifestyle. Does the home back up to a busy highway or a street? Very small yard and you have big dogs, steep driveway and snowy climates, no parking or very limited parking. Is there an awkward layout you can't change? Rooms, are they too small for your needs? Same for storage. Only one bathroom with a large family. Okay. Now, the flip red flags. Okay. If the home was recently flipped, right, or remodeled, be extra cautious. Were permits pulled for the renovations? You can check that out with the city permitting office. Is the work quality good or superficial? Did they just cover up the problem? Did they perfume a pig? Right? Are major systems like the roof, the HVAC, plumbing old despite cosmetic updates? When to walk away versus when to negotiate. Now, you want to walk away if there are major structural issues that cost more than you can afford. If there are safety hazards, you simply don't love it. If there are too many red flags and they start piling up. Now, here's where you can work on trying to negotiate something and make it work. If the issues are fixable and you love the home. If the seller can offer credit or price reduction. You're willing to take on the repairs yourself. Problems are disclosed and reflected in a lower price. Now, we've already talked about a lot. We're going to now get into how long should you search. There's no perfect timeline, but here's what typically happens and what's realistic. The average timeline by market depends. A hot seller's market, expect 1 to 3 months of active searching. Homes sell fast, competition is fierce. You might make several offers before getting accepted. In a balanced market, you're looking at about 2 to 4 months. More inventory to choose from. There's less pressure to buy something, so it gives you time to be selective. In a buyer's market, it could be 3 to 6 months. Plenty of inventory. You can afford to be picky, and then there's less urgency. Now, here's factors that affect your timeline. Your criteria, right? Be very specific. Must-haves equal longer searches. Flexible on features equals shorter searches. Unusual property type means longer searches. Now, if you have some common preferences, it means a shorter search. Now, your market. If you have low inventory, that means you're going to have a longer search. If you have a high inventory, your search is probably going to be shorter. Price range with a lot of competition means longer search. Now, with regards to your flexibility, can you be flexible on location, size, or features? How quickly do you need to move? Now, with regard to the quality of your search, are you looking consistently, or are you just thumbing through when you're bored or at a traffic light? Seeing homes as soon as they're listed, all right, that helps you speed things up. Making strong offers when you find the right one. Now, here are some warning signs that your search is taking too long. You're being too picky. If you've seen 50 homes and you found fault with all of them, you might need to reassess your expectations. Perfect doesn't exist. Stop wasting your real estate agent's gas too. You're not making offers. If you love homes but aren't pulling the trigger and making an offer because you're afraid of making the wrong choice, you're delaying your process. If you keep adding requirements, your must-have list keeps growing. This is called scope creep and will make your search endless. Now, the other thing is analysis by paralysis analysis, right? If you're overthinking everything, you're looking for the perfect moment or the perfect deal. How to avoid search fatigue. This is big. Take breaks. Don't burn out looking at 10 houses every weekend. Take a weekend off occasionally. You need to stay focused. Remind yourself of your original must-haves. Don't get distracted by a shiny penny or some feature you weren't expecting and go that way, okay? You've got to trust the process. The right home will come along. Sometimes it's the first one you see. Sometimes it's the 30th. You got to work closely with your agent. You have to communicate very well with them. A good agent will help you stay on track and recognize when you found a winner. You have to be ready to act, though. When you find it, move quickly. Have your financing ready. Be prepared to make an offer. Don't wait days to decide. We talked about a lot. Now, here's the bottom line. Most buyers find their home within 3 to 6 months of serious searching. If you're past 6 months, reassess your criteria, your budget, or your strategy with your agent. And remember, you're not looking for perfect. You're looking for the right home for this season of your life. Okay, evaluating neighborhoods is essential. You're not just buying a house, you're buying into a neighborhood, a lifestyle, a way of life. The wrong neighborhood can make you miserable, even in a beautiful home. Let's talk about how to evaluate neighborhoods like a pro. Okay, researching crime rates and safety. Safety is usually at the top of every buyer's list. Nobody wants to buy a house in the middle of a war zone, right? So here is how to research it properly. Look at online resources. You got crimereports.com. Enter an address and see a map of reported crime in that area. You can filter by crime type and date range. Neighborhoodscout.com provides crime statistics and safety ratings compared to national averages. You can reach out to your local police department. Maybe their website has some of the crime maps and statistics available to the public. Spotcrime.com. It aggregates crime data and shows it on a map. Now, let's look beyond the numbers. Visit at different times. Weekday morning, weekday evening, weekend afternoon, late evening, but safely, all right, especially depending on where you're looking at. Walk or drive around. Are homes well maintained? Are they well lit? Are cars parked on the street or in the driveways? Is there bars on the windows? Do you see people out and about? Are there security cameras visible? Right? And going back, like if you see bars on doors, bars on windows, that's a big red flag, safety-wise too. Talk to the locals. Stop by a neighborhood coffee shop or restaurant. Ask people walking their dogs. Introduce yourself, at a community park. When I was looking at properties, I'd go talk to people all over the place. Ask for your potential neighbors about their thoughts. Now, here are some questions to ask. Do you feel safe here? Do you have any concerns about crime? Do people get to know their neighbors, or are the neighbors just shut in? Are there any areas that you need to avoid? Here are things to check for. Check for street lights, lighting on the street at night. Look for traffic speeds on residential streets. Look at the proximity to police and fire stations. You can look at emergency response times. Now, here are some red flags. If the property has a high property crime rate or is in a high property crime rate, you may want to look elsewhere. Is there increasing crime trends? Is there a very transient population? Is it poorly maintained properties? Does it have a lack of community involvement? Those are all red flags. Now, here's a reality check. No neighborhood has zero crime. Look for it. You want to look for stable or decreasing crime rates. You want to look for low violent crime rates. You want to look for an active neighborhood watch. You want to look for responsive police presence. You want to look for well-lit streets. Okay, you want to look for community engagement. How's everybody communicating and engaging with each other? Look at the school district quality. That's a good indicator of where you're at. Even if you don't have kids, the school district still matters. They significantly impact property values and resale potential. Now, here are some research tools for schools. Greatschools.org is the most popular resource. It provides ratings on a scale of 1 to 10 based off of test scores, student progress, and equity. Look at overall district rating. Look at individual school ratings. Look at test score trends. Are they improving or are they declining? Look at the student to teacher ratio. Is there 70 kids to one teacher, or is there like 10 to 1? Look at demographics and diversity. You can go to niche.com. It provides letter grades A+ to F based off of academics, teachers, clubs, and parent reviews, often more detailed than great schools. Now, schooldigger.com, it ranks schools with each state and provides detailed test score data. The State Department of Education has an official data source on school performances, funding, programs offered, and facilities. But don't just trust the ratings. They're only as good as the data that they're given. Visit the schools. If you have children scheduled to tour, take them. Meet the principal. See the facilities. Observe the classrooms if possible. Talk to parents. Current parents give the real scoop on teacher quality, school culture, bullying policies, communication with parents. Do they have an app? Do they have a phone that auto dials everybody? How do they communicate to you? Look at before and after school programs. Look at parent involvement opportunities. Consider your children's needs when you're doing all of this, right? Does the school offer gifted programs if you have a gifted child? What about special education support if your child needs a little extra help? Look at extracurricular activities. Do they have football, baseball, basketball? Do they have band? Do they have chess? Whatever it is, look for extracurricular activities that your kids might like. Look for their sports programs, their art programs, languages that are being offered. Verify school boundaries. Some school districts' websites have boundary maps that look like this, right? Are you just inside or just outside? Some communities have multiple school districts in it. Verify the home that you're considering is actually in the school zone that you want. Boundaries can change. Look at public versus private. If you're planning to send kids to private school, look at the school district quality. If it matters, more or less in your daily activities, right? Look at the financial impact. Homes in highly rated school districts typically sell for 10 to 20% more. They typically sell faster. They typically hold better value during market downturns. They typically have higher property taxes because they're funding the school. Even without kids, buying in a good school district is usually a very smart investment because the person that you sell a house to may have kids. Now, you want to look at future development and growth. What's happening in the neighborhood matters just as much as what's there today. Future development can increase or decrease your property value. Research plan developments. Get with the city planning department. Go to the city council meetings, to see what's going on. Visit their website or their office. You want to look for zoning maps. See where you're at. See what zonings are around you. Are there approved development projects? Are there proposed rezoning requests? Comprehensive master plans should be looked at as well. What to look for, right? You want to look for positive development. You want to look for new parks, new recreational facilities. You want to look for new shopping centers that are going to have quality retailers versus, like 5 or 6 in a row. You want to look for restaurants and entertainment. Infrastructure improvements. Are they improving the roads, the utilities, their fire department ratings, things like that? Public transportation expansions. You want to look at corporate headquarters or major employers. Are they nearby? Are they bringing in people? Are they taking people away? You want to look at healthcare facilities. Now, here are things that are negative development. Industrial facilities. Nobody wants to live near a concrete plant, right? Landfills or waste treatment plants. They stink. High density, low income housing may affect values. Adult businesses. Now, halfway houses or treatment facilities also can impact that. Cell towers or power substations. Now, here are questions to ask. Is the area growing or is it declining? Population increasing or population decreasing? Is there new construction that's happening or is everything kind of aging out? Are businesses opening or do you see a lot of out of business businesses? Home prices appreciating or are they stagnating? What's the job market like? Are there major employers in the area? Industry diversity or one industry town, right? Like if you're at Universal City here in Texas, it's right outside of Randolph Air Force Base. That's the major employer. If that went away, there you go. You want to look at unemployment rates. Okay, are there a bunch of empty lots? What could be built there if there are? So you want to check the zoning to see what's allowed. Now let's talk about infrastructure. Are the roads adequate or are they always congested? Are they smooth or is it driving like this? Right? Are the utilities reliable? Is there a high-speed internet? What about cell phone coverage? When you go look at the house, is your cell phone working or do you have to get it on Wi-Fi? Where to find information at? Well, local news sites. You can read about development proposals. You can go to city council meetings. You can go to the community centers, things like that. You can go to the Chamber of Commerce. They usually have information on economic development and new businesses readily available. If you go to Realtor.com, they have neighborhood pages. They provide data on home values, market trends, and community info. If your state like Texas is a non-disclosure state, probably not very effective though. Local Facebook groups. Get into neighborhood groups and you can see what they're discussing, right? Join them and just look around for a little bit and see what you can find. Talk to your agent. Experienced local agents know what's coming and how it might impact values. Now here's some red flags. If you're going around and you see a bunch of empty storefronts in commercial areas, right? If you see a bunch of empty houses, like the population is declining. If major employers are leaving, if there's deferred infrastructure maintenance from that city or town, are they closing schools? Like there's some schools out here that are closing because they can't afford to keep them open. Increasing tax rates without improved services. Now, here are some green flags, though. If the population is growing, but not too fast, because growing too fast can strain infrastructure. If it has a diversified economy, if it's not just tied to a military installation or one headquarters. New businesses are opening. They do have infrastructure investments. How home prices keep going up. Crime rates are going down. Revitalization efforts in older neighborhoods. Property values are appreciating or have appreciation potential. Now, you'll want a home that will at least maintain its value, ideally appreciate over time, right? Now, understanding property value factors is very important. You've heard the old saying, location, 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 right? The neighborhood matters more than the house itself. You can change everything about the house except for where it sits, right? Comparable sales. You want to look at recent sales in the neighborhood. Are they increasing? Are they decreasing? How long are houses staying on the market for? What are homes selling for at a price per square foot? What's the market average and where are they at? Are prices being stable? Are they falling? Are they rising? How does this compare to the surrounding areas? Your agent can pull a comparative market analysis or a CMA for any neighborhood that you're considering and break down the statistical data. Okay? Supply and demand play a big factor in that. A high demand and low inventory community means prices are increasing. High inventory, low demand, prices stagnate or fall. Where to check value trends? Well, there's several places that you can go. I'm not necessarily recommending them, but they are available. So Zillow Home Value Index shows historical home value trends by zip code, city, and metro area. Again, in Texas, that doesn't work out too well. Realtor.com has market trends. They provide data on median sales prices, days on market, and inventory levels. Again, in a non-disclosure state, it doesn't work that well. Okay, you can look at average sales prices over the past 5 or 10 years, price per square foot trends, inventory levels over time. There's a lot of different things that you can look at online. Now, you can look at the Federal Housing and Finance Agency, or FHFA, House Price Index. It shows price changes by state and metro area going back decades. What indicates good appreciation potential? Fantastic question. A strong local economy, right? A growing job market, major employers and industry or industrial diversity, low unemployment rates. If you have good schools, good schools are always in demand and they always maintain value. If it's in a convenient location, right? Location, location, location. If it has a good proximity to employment centers, good transportation access. If it's near amenities like grocery stores, hospitals, movie theaters, restaurants, things like that. If the neighborhood is well maintained, that helps out as well. Homes kept up nicely. If the active HOA, or is it just a pride of ownership? There's no eyesores. Some desirable features, waterfront, or it has a mountain view or some kind of a view. If it has a historical charm, the walkability about it, low crime areas, room for growth. Can you add square footage? Can you finish a basement out? Add a bathroom. Homes with improvement potential often appreciate better. Now, overall improvement warning though, don't buy the most expensive house in the neighborhood. Your home's value is capped by surrounding homes. It's better to buy a fixer-upper in a nice neighborhood than the nicest house in a poor neighborhood. Now, you got to remember, too, that the market has some cycles, right? There's ups and downs, ebbs and flows, right? The real estate is cyclical, so don't try to time the perfect bottom or the top. If you're buying for the long term, 5 to 10 years or so, market cycles matter less. Now, the bottom line for that is, if you buy in the best location you can afford, in a neighborhood with strong fundamentals, and you'll likely see healthy appreciation over time. Now, other things to consider are HOA considerations. If you're looking at condos, townhomes, or planned master communities, you'll likely deal with a homeowners association. HOAs can be a wonderful experience, or they can be a nightmare. But here's what you got to know. The Homeowners Association is an organization that makes and enforces rules for a community. All homeowners automatically become members and must pay dues. HOA fees, well, what do they typically cover? Well, they typically cover amenities and services like landscaping and lawn care, pools and clubhouse maintenance. Some might include trash collection or snow removal from public areas or community areas, exterior maintenance and painting in some areas, insurance for common areas, that's especially big for condos, security or gate maintenance, water and sewer in some cases. And if you're in a gated community, you're going to have to pay for those streets too. So how much? Single family homes, you can find them anywhere from 100 to 500 or more a month. Townhomes between 2 and 400 a month are typical. Condos can be anywhere from 300 to 700 a month, depending on the type of condo. Now, if you're getting into luxury communities, you can be anywhere from 500 to 2,000 or more a month. Fees are always increasing. I've never seen an HOA fee decrease. You should ask, what have the HOA fees been for the past 5 years? Are they increasing or planned increasing? When was the last assessment done? Things to also look at is special assessments. Beyond regular dues, HOAs can levy special assessments for major repairs or improvements, especially condos, like new roof for a condo building. Yeah. Road repaving, pool renovations, unexpected major repairs. You got a big hailstorm come in and tears up a bunch of stuff, right? These can be thousands of dollars and often come with little warning. Ask, when was the last special assessment? What was it for and how much was it? So like if it was $100,000 and you got 100 people in the community, that's $1,000 per person. Are there any planned or anticipated? Are there HOAs, or look at the rules and the restrictions? Some common restrictions, right? Your exterior paint colors, roof materials and colors, fence type and height. Can you stain them? Landscaping requirements, holiday decoration limitations, parking rules, no RVs, no boats, no commercial vehicles, things like that. There's just a lot of them. They may even have pet restrictions based off of breed, size, and number. They may have a rental restriction. So if you're buying something with the anticipation of turning it into a rental property and you will buy something else, you need to check that out. They may have satellite dish restrictions, basketball hoop restrictions, clotheslines. Before you buy, you got to review the codes, covenants, and restrictions. They're also known as CCRs, right? They're governing documents with all the rules and regulations. Read it in its entirety. It's boring, but it's important. The HOA bylaws. They dictate how the HOA is formed and governed and operated. Look at meeting minutes for the past 12 months of board meetings and see what the issues for the community face. Financial statements. Is the HOA financially healthy, or, are you going to be looking at some special assessments? Are the reserves adequate? Are many owners delinquent on dues? Look at pending litigations. Is the HOA being sued, or are they suing anyone? This can lead to special assessments. You need to ask these questions if you're working with an HOA. What are the monthly and annual dues? What exactly is covered by the dues? Have there been recent fee increases? Are there any special assessments planned? You need to ask them how much is in the reserve fund and what do they normally have for a balance? What percentage of owners are delinquent on payments? Is the HOA involved in any lawsuits? You need to ask them, what are the most commonly enforced rules? Are they coming by every Tuesday and telling you got to pull your weeds out and you mow your yard on Wednesday, right? How many violations were issued last year? Can you rent out the property? And if so, are there any restrictions? What's the approval process for exterior changes? How responsive is the HOA board to homeowners' concerns? Now, here's some red flags when you're asking these questions. If they have very low or very high fees, low means they're not funding the reserves, and high means they're mismanaging the money. If they're having frequent special assessments, if there's deferred maintenance visible in the common areas, if low reserve funds, right, they should be between 50 and 70% funded ideally. High delinquency rate on dues, if there's active lawsuits, overly restrictive or petty rules, a board that's unresponsive or difficult. All right, here are some green lights, right? So if they're well-maintained common areas, if they're financially healthy with adequate reserves, if they have reasonable rules that maintain property values, these are all good things, right? If they're active, if they're engaged, if the board is active and they're engaged, if there's low delinquency rates, that means that everybody's happy being there and the funds are going to be there. Clear communication with homeowners, fair enforcement of the rules, right? Now, when it comes to the HOA decision, you got to look at the benefits of the HOAs. I'm not a fan of them. They serve their purpose most of the time, though. They maintain common areas and amenities. They protect property values through standards as long as they uphold them and enforce them. They provide amenities you couldn't afford individually, like a pool, maybe a gym or a park. They have community events and special opportunities. They reduce exterior maintenance responsibilities. Now, here are some drawbacks of the HOAs. Monthly fees in addition to your mortgage. You might be dealing with a Karen on the board. Restrictions on what you can do with your own property. Potential for mismanagement. Difficult neighbors on the board. Risk for special assessments. Now, who should choose an HOA community? People who want amenities like pools, gyms, clubhouses, playgrounds. People who prefer less exterior maintenance. Buyers who appreciate structure and rules. People wanting a cohesive, aesthetic neighborhood. Who should avoid HOAs? Well, if you're a Karen, just don't. Nah. But in seriousness, though, those who want complete freedom over their property. People bothered by rules or restrictions. People who don't want monthly fees beyond their mortgage. Anyone who saw too many red flags in the HOA documents. Bottom line is this. HOAs aren't inherently good and they aren't inherently bad. You have to do your due diligence. You have to understand exactly what you're agreeing to and making sure the fees and the rules work for your lifestyle and your budget. So we've talked about a lot. I'm going to wrap it up. We've covered a ton of information in this search and selection phase. So I want to recap real quick with the key takeaways. First, we built your real estate team. You learned the difference between a real estate agent, a realtor, and a broker. You know how to find it and choose an agent who will fight for you. How to shop lenders within that critical 30-day window to protect your credit score. And when you need an attorney based on your state's requirements. Second, we mastered the home search process. You know how to define your must-haves versus nice-to-haves, how to use online tools and MLS listings effectively, how to attend open houses strategically, how to schedule private showings, spot red flags during tours, and understand realistic timelines for your search. And finally, we dove deep into evaluating neighborhoods. You now know how to research crime and safety and assess school districts, even if you don't have kids. You learn how to investigate future developments, understand property value trends and appreciation potential, and navigate those wonderful HOAs. Now, the search and selection phase is where the fun really begins, but it's also where buyers make costly mistakes by rushing in without proper research or settling for less than they deserve. Take your time, trust the process, work closely with your agent, and don't compromise your true must-haves. Now, if this video helped you, hit that like button and subscribe because we're just getting started. This is video 2 of 10. In the next video, we're diving into the market and offering phase, how to run a comparative market analysis, crafting a winning offer, negotiating like a pro, how to handle counter offers, and what to do once you're under contract. So do me a favor though, I want to know what you got going on. So drop a comment and let me know. Are you currently in the home search? What's been your biggest challenge so far? What neighborhoods are you considering? I do read every comment and I am here to help and I will reply. So thanks for watching. And remember, finding the right home takes patience, research, and a great team. You're building that foundation right now. I'll see you in the next video.